In my heart is a Christmas tree farm where the people would come to dance under sparkles and light, bundled up in their mittens and coats, and the ciders would flow, and I just wanna be there tonight. Hi, this is How to Play Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift Part 2. This is an extremely important tutorial. In this tutorial you're going to learn all the foundations you need to know to play all of your future piano playing. So I hope you do some more tutorials with me, and if you do, this tutorial is crucial. There's basically 24 chords that you need to learn. You're going to learn a quarter of them in this song. Also, every chord uses 3 inversions, and this tutorial is going to teach you all 3 of those inversions. You'll need that for everything you play in the future. So we're just going to do the verse. It's not much, but that's because you're learning all of these foundations. In part 3, we'll do the whole of the rest of the song, and then you can learn all the rest of it. But the reason we're only doing the verse this time is because, as I say, you've got to learn all these foundations. So I hope you enjoy it. Dig in, and good luck. Okay. Now, if you continue to see my tutorials, I hope to teach you all the foundations for playing pop piano. There's going to be 3 levels of tutorials, and this is a level 1 tutorial. So this tutorial should set you up with all the foundations for future playing if you keep doing my tutorials. Now, basically, level 1 tutorials are in C major. I mentioned this in the introduction. That means that we're only going to use the notes of the C major scale, which I've drawn out here, which is, by the way, I've explained all about where all the notes are, etc. in part 1 of this tutorial, so I'm not going to do all that again. If you want to know all that, please go back to part 1. For now, I'm just going to say that we're going to use a scale of C, which is starting on C, which is next to the 2 black notes C, and then D, E, F, G, A, B, C. As I mentioned in part 1, you can make a chord from any one of these notes. So take C, for example, you just take C, go up to E, go up to G. So that's a chord of C. Then you move them all up. That would be a chord of D, E, F, G, A. And this is what we're going to be working with in this tutorial. Now, so what I didn't mention in the first part of the tutorial is, so basically there's nothing on note 7 generally in pop songs. So in any pop song you tend to have 6 chords, okay? The exciting thing is that there are 3 major chords and you might not find this very exciting. I think it's quite exciting. There are 3 major chords and 3 minor chords in a song. And the 3 major chords are always built on the 1st, the 4th and the 5th notes of the scale. So in this song, C is major, F is major, and G is major. Now, hopefully you'll hear the other 3 chords. If it's minor, it settles on 6. So I always start by saying 6. So the 3 minor chords are 6, 2, and 3. But if you hear, they sound a bit sadder. If you're a new pianist, you might not be able to distinguish that difference. But later on, I think you'll probably agree with me that these sound a bit sadder. And then 2, D is minor, and E is minor. I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but let me just show you the difference. So C is major, but to make it minor, we could flatten the middle note. So to make a major chord into a minor chord, you flatten the middle note. That would be C minor. Can you hear that? That's supposed to sound sadder, allegedly, and major is happier. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to go straight into the verse of this song. This is the verse of this song. So. And it starts with a chord 5, which is G. So if we go back to here, remember that you make a chord by taking any note of the scale, you go up 2, and then, you skip a note, take the next one, skip a note, take the next one, and that is how you make a major chord. So this is going to begin with chord 5, which is G in this key, okay? Please, you want to start right now getting into good habits and using the right fingers, okay? So you want thumb, middle finger, little finger. Now, basically, when you first play, you'll probably find it hard not to press that down as well, because these have never learnt to work independently. Okay, so the way to learn to do this if you're struggling with this is put all those down together, and then what I would do is then just pull that ring finger up like that, and start. So let them all fall down, so they want to go down together, and then pull on there. If you do that on a daily basis, you keep trying to do that. Eventually, you'll get to the point where, as you can see there, it hovers nicely high up, and these three go down nice and independently, okay? So that's how you get a nice thumb inversion chord. You need to learn to get amazing at that because that's going to be your fundamental chords, okay? So the verse begins with this chord. I'm going to put the pedal down as always because if I tap it without the pedal down, that happens. But if I put the pedal down, it rings on nicely like that, okay? So this is the beginning of the song. So we're going to go. Now this is so I think this is a bar each. So it's 4 hits, 4 times of each chord on each for each. This is a bar each. So it's 4 on each. A bar in this song has 4 beats. Okay, so we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, now this I put in brackets because this is a bar, which means we're going to do 2 beats on chord 1 and 2 beats on chord 4. And this is where you're going to start learning about how to play all your chords together in different inversions. Okay, now this we've played G in what I call a thumb inversion. I call it a thumb inversion because your thumb goes on the root notes. This is a chord of G and your thumb is on a G, okay? You're going to need to learn to play a couple of other inversions now. So what we're going to do now is middle finger inversion. So basically, let's take a chord of C. That's the thumb inversion C. Now what we're going to do, let me think of the best way of doing this. Actually, we're going to take a C here. So that's a chord of C. You take C, skip a note E, skip a note G. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the top note, the G, and we're going to move it down an octave and put it there. Now this is exactly the same chord. You see the G has just moved down an octave. But as you can see, the notes are in a different order. So what we do is we rearrange our fingers a little bit, as so. And then your middle finger goes on the C, little finger goes on the E, and the thumb goes on the G. And this I call a middle finger inversion because your middle finger is now on the C, and it's crucial. Well, I think calling it a middle finger version is really basically. I actually only started really playing pop piano when I was about. Going to reveal my age here. When I was about let's say 20, but add on 10 years, so yeah, when I started playing these chords, I started trying to play loads of songs, and I found that I just ended up memorizing where to put my fingers. I didn't really know what chord I was playing, and it took me, it's embarrassing to say this, but probably helpful for you to this. It took me 2 years just to learn all my chords. There's 24 of them. I got so confused, and at the end of those 2 years, I kind of realized that it's kind of like way easier than I was making it, but no one had taught it to me properly. And I think generally I found there's proliferation of guitarists everywhere. I used to have a teaching agency. We used to employ guitarists and various other musicians, drummers, etc. And I just found so many guitarists, but hardly any pop piano players. And part of the reason I think is it's so complicated. And I've developed this system to try and simplify things so that hopefully anyone can play. And this was really important part of this so instead of this in classical music, this is called a second inversion chord. I call it middle finger inversion, and the reason for that is so that I know whenever I play this shape, I know that to find out what chord it is, because when I was trying to learn my chords, I kept forgetting. Oh, what is that chord? Well, now because I call it middle finger inversion, I know that I just look at my middle finger and that'll tell me what chord it is. Okay, this is really important, and the reason we're going through this is all of your piano playing from now on is going to use these 3 inversions. It's the fundamentals of all your playing. So this is why we're going to use this tutorial to take the time to learn them. In the other tutorials, I'll be going on to other things, and you'll have to know this already. So take the time to do this, okay? That's your middle finger inversion C, okay? Now, what I suggest you do to practice this inversion is first of all try playing all of your chords. So we're going to play C, okay? The key thing is your middle finger goes on the root. There's a gap of 2, and then your thumb goes on the next note, okay? There's always a gap of 2 under the root with your inversions, okay? So that's the chord of C. Actually, we're going to go off the top of the piano, I think, off the top of the camera if I do it down there. So we're going to do it here. But I should probably do it here, it's easier for you. But I'm going to do it here. So that's the chord of C. And then just lift your fingers, but lock them in place, move them up, put your middle finger on D, and that's a chord of D. It's actually D minor, but we're going to call it D for now. And then lift, go to E, go to F, G, A. And first of all, learn to just go up. What you don't want to do is be going, oh, right, then that one goes there and that one goes there. Lock your hands. So just lift, lock your fingers, move up. Middle finger's on D, move up. Middle finger on E, move up. middle finger on F, move up, middle finger on G, move up, middle finger on A. And then there's a last thing you need to do to try and really check, you know, these you can play this chord well. Call out some of the letters. So call out, let's just say call out D. Try and move to D. G. Do it with me if you want. Try and move to G. C. Lift. Try and move your middle finger down to C. Try and learn to just move anywhere with that shape. And by the time you can do that, you'll pretty much be good at that shape, okay? Now we're going to use this inversion now for the next chord here, this chord C. This is a middle finger inversion C. Okay, I might write that on actually if I can find my pen. Oh, it's vanished. There you go. So I'm actually going to write that in. So this is a thumb inversion. There you go. This one is a middle finger inversion, and this one is a little finger inversion. Okay, so that's a C, and you're going to actually just play this twice. Okay, that's your C middle finger inversion. Lastly, we're going to play an F little finger inversion, which means you need to know your little finger inversion, which is the third of the 3 inversions. So there was C. We've now done middle finger inversion, but we're now going to do little finger inversion. Now what you do for little finger inversion, we're going to take the C, we're going to put it at the top. So it looks like that. This is a C little finger inversion. We're going to move our fingers around, and then it looks like that. Now the key thing is, this is the odd one out, because whereas all the other two inversions use the middle finger, this one uses the index finger instead. So you've got your little finger on the root, that's your C. As always, gap of 2 under the root. Then you've got the next note, and then 2 down the next note. But what I always say to people, because they often get the fingering wrong when they do this one, is for little finger version, I always say, if they get the finger wrong, I always say little circle, and I make them do this. So keep the little finger down and tap the thumb and index finger and make a circle to remind them. Little circle. So whenever it's little finger version, it's this index finger, not the middle finger, okay? Let's just see little finger version. Let's do it here. Again, do it up here, it's easier, but I'll go off the camera if I do that. So let's do this here. So this is little finger inversion, C. Do exactly the same. Lock your fingers, lift them, D. Lock your fingers, lift them, E. Lock your fingers, lift them, F, G, A. First of all, just learn to do that really well. Again, don't be moving around each time trying to find all the notes again each time. Just lock your hand. You would learn to lock in position. So basically, the idea is that if I said C or G little finger version, your little finger would go there and the others would lock, and you'd do that. You wouldn't be going, oh, gap of 2, you just go, finger locks into place, fingers lock into place, bang. And that's why you've got to learn to lock this in position, okay? So C, do it with me. D, E, F, G, A. Always remember, when it's inversion, you've got to check there's a gap of 2 under the root, okay? That's that. Then let's call out some, do exactly the same as we did for middle finger. Let's call out some lesser names. So let's say F. So you move, little finger goes on F. This is where people get confused. You've got to remember it's the little finger that goes on F, okay? Not this one. That would be for a thumb inversion, okay? D. So lock, move, D. Little finger goes on D. G. Lift, lock, move, drop. G. E. Lift, lock, move, E. Got it? That's your little finger inversion. And we're going to do a little finger inversion F. So little finger's going to go on F here. And that's your little finger inversion of F, okay? So we're integrating all 3 inversions with this. So let's put it together. It's 4 in here, 4 in here, 4 in here, and then 2 on here, 2 on here. So I don't know whether to sing it or count out the numbers. Let me sing it a little bit. So I don't know the words, but let me sing it a bit so that you can hear the tune at least, so you can see how it goes. So and then I think it goes to the pre-chorus, which we'll do in a moment, okay? So that's what you'll learn to do. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, by the time you can do this, you're starting to get really proficient at your inversions, okay? This might seem like impossible to you at first. Just take the time to learn it, because this is the foundation for all piano playing. All pop songs, all songs almost, use chords. And you've got to know the 3 inversions, and we're keeping it simple. It's all white notes. It's going to get more complicated. Level 2 and level 3 involve more black notes, okay? Just get this right for now. So it's worth taking the time to do this, and we're going to do this now, okay? So we're going to go, first of all, from G to C. So you've got a thumb inversion G, and then we're going to go to C. Now this is very simple. For middle finger inversion, C looks like that. So all you're doing for for the moving from the G to the C is you're keeping your thumb here on the G. You're taking these two fingers, lifting them and moving them both up one note. Can you see that? From there, lift, move up, one. Very easy. And that takes you from a thumb inversion G, keep your thumb there, lift those two, move them, to a middle finger inversion C. Practice that with me. So it's G, then lift, move, so then move the top two fingers up one, C. Okay, let's move them back down to get G. Do this with me. Lift, move the top two fingers up, C. Lift, move them back down again, G. Lift, move the top two fingers up. That's your middle finger inversion C, okay? So we're going to do from here, do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, change. 1, 2, all right? Do that as slowly as you need to do it to get it perfect. Don't try and rush. Just spend a few minutes doing that, or 4 of them, 1, 2, doing that over and over each day. You'll have it within 2 or 3 days. You'll suddenly be like, as long as you do it slowly and accurately, as long as you're making loads of mistakes, you'll just make a mess of it forever. You'll never be a good piano player. But if you do it nice and accurately, you'll have it after 2 or 3 days, would be my guess. Let me know if I'm wrong. Okay, we're going to go from C to F. This is more complicated. So we're C here now. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. This is a difficult move, and this is the more difficult part of changing between chords. There's a lot of fingers moving around now. So you've got your C there. Now I really, really encourage you to use the correct fingers, or the fingers I'm going to suggest for this. It's easy to just cheat and do that, but then you're not going to start learning to play your little finger inversion just like that, because you're starting to use different fingers. You want to use the same fingers all the time. That way you can go straight to a little finger inversion without thinking. Okay, this might be an easy way of playing it in this context, but then you're confusing your brain as to how to play a little finger inversion because you're using different fingers. Do you see? You just want to use the index finger. So to do this, you see this switch. Can you see this finger switching on the same note C, but you're switching fingers? That's hard. And for that reason, I'm going to get you to practice first of all by taking the middle finger out. You can take the edge fingers G and E, and then if you watch, the top and the bottom are just doing that. So first of all, just practice doing that. G and E, lift, move them both up, A and F, okay? Just do that, practice that loads and loads and loads till you've got that perfect. And then you've got to just work on changing the middle finger. So once you get that really good, then you're just going to focus on the C. So middle finger, okay, lift. You can get rid of the middle finger if you want at this point. Move these up, and then you can take the index finger instead and put that on the C, like that, okay? Let's do that again. So you're going to go from there, lift, move up, switch to the index finger, and then you've got that. F chord, gap of 2 always under the root, and then there and there, okay? So let's do that again. So there, you're going to lift, move everything up 1, and switch to the index finger, and you're playing C again. If you want, you can go backwards, lift, move everything back down 1, switch to the middle finger on C, there. But you see how C is being played both times, just with a different finger. Lift, move down, switch fingers. There you go. Lift, move up, switch fingers. All right? And just practice that loads. Lift, and do it with me now, okay? So we're going to go from the middle finger, C. Lock, lift, move up, switch to index finger, press. Lift, move everything back down 1 note, switch to middle finger on C, press. Lift, lock, move everything up, switch to index finger, press on C. Lift, lock, move everything down, switch to middle finger. And that's how you do that. And then to get back to G, at the end is there, you'll be on there. To get back to G, it's a little bit complicated. Lift, you've got to move your thumb back to G, but then you have to get back to thumb inversion. But I'm hoping that eventually thumb inversion is going to be the easiest one for you, so it won't be so difficult to get back to. But again, that'll need some practice, so let's just do that now. Little finger inversion F, lock, lift, move your thumb back to G. Oh gosh, that's going to be tricky for you at the beginning. You've got to just practice it loads and loads and loads. So F, and then we're going to move your thumb back to G and hopefully just get everything back to normal. That should be the easiest, although I've noticed new pupils don't find that so easy. But after you've been playing for a while, I'm hoping you'll find that thumb inversion G is just the easiest to find. Right now it's going to be complicated. So that's F, and then going back around to repeat the verse. You come back, thumb on G, put those down to make that thumb inversion again. Okay, so that's your verse done. Let me see how long that's been running for. Oh yeah, that's been running a while. Okay, that's probably where we're going to finish part 2 then. Okay, so let's just work through that together. We're going to go around this twice, okay? So, do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Keep your pedal down. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always lift your pedal when you're switching to a new chord. Going to now move those top 2 fingers up to C. 1, 2, and then lift your pedal. Move everything up. Switch to the index finger. 1, 2, and then go back to G. Lift your pedal, put your pedal back down as you play G again. So you always lift the pedal as you finish a chord and put it back down for the new chord. So we'll do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, back round. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to speed up a bit because it's boring. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowing down again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top 2 fingers up. 1, 2. Everything up. 1, 2. Back down to G. Okay. It actually goes back to there for the pre-chorus in a moment. Okay. So we've taken a long time to do a very short section of the song, but the reason for that is I've been teaching you how to do 3 inversions, which is a very complicated subject. It's actually a very, very, very short time to work through all 3 of those inversions, okay? As I said, this is the foundation for all of your piano that you're going to play, all of your chords and all of your different keys. By now you've learned 6 of your chords. There's 24 chords. You've learned a quarter of your chords already in 3 different inversions. So you've learned a hell of a lot if you've taken the trouble to go through this. And then basically there's 3 levels of tutorials, so you're ready once you've done this to go on to level 2 and level 3 tutorials and start getting your teeth stuck into some much more complicated songs. Okay, so take the time to do this, and we're going to finish this part 1 here, the verse, and then in the next section we're going to do, it should all be much quicker now because I've just actually taken the time in that tutorial to go through all of your inversions. So in the next one we're going to do the pre-chorus, which is that. So, it's going to be fun now. We can just race through the rest of the song, maybe even get the rest done in part 3. So, thanks for watching. Please now move on to part 3 if you want to play the rest of the song.